A top children's health official for the EPA who was suddenly put on administrative leave is now speaking out only on CBS This Morning. Dr. Ruth Etzel is her name. She was sidelined back in September. The agency says it was over allegations about her leadership, but did not provide details. Werner spoke to Dr. Etzel about what she says happened and why she's now worried about the direction of the EPA. Anna, good morning.
Good morning, Gayle. The reaction from health and environmental experts who know Dr. Etzel to her being put on leave, shocked, stunned, and worried about whether the EPA truly wants to have regulations that protect children.
Our message is no longer welcome. The message that children are not little adults and they need special protections is not welcome.
Making sure children are protected from environmental toxins has been Dr. Ruth Etzel's job at the EPA. She's the agency's top pediatric expert, the author of textbooks and policy handbooks on children's environmental health. So basically, your job was to go to EPA and say, hey, this regulation that you're considering, you need to know how that impacts children.
Exactly. I often think of the Office of Children's Health as the conscience of EPA because, we're kind of nagging at them. Is this okay for children? Are you sure this is okay for children?
But from the beginning of the Trump administration, Dr. Etzel says it seemed those above her no longer wanted her advice. Her monthly meetings to advise the EPA administrator were abruptly halted. So you had no one-on-one meetings with Scott Pruitt, and you had no one-on-one meetings with Andrew Wheeler?
No.
Not one?
Not one.
And she says a national strategy to remove lead from children's environments launched after the Flint, Michigan water crisis stalled, with one official brought in by the new administration telling her that anything involving new regulations wouldn't fly.
My sense is that the government has absolutely no intention of taking any actions towards seriously changing lead in children's environments.
And what does that mean for the kids?
It basically means that our kids will continue to be poisoned. It basically means that kids are disposable. They don't matter.
Through it all, she says, she kept pushing until about 3 weeks ago when an official came into her office.
My boss, who's the deputy chief of staff, walked in and handed me a piece of paper and said, I'm putting you on administrative leave. And I almost fell off of my chair. I said, what's this about? And she wouldn't say.
Did you have any idea what was happening or why it was happening?
None whatsoever.
Did you have any warning?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
In a letter to EPA, over 120 environmental and health organizations expressed their great concern, saying by placing Dr. Etzel on leave, the EPA has sent a signal that children's health is not a priority for the agency. So at a meeting last week, we approached EPA officials.
Ms. Wooden-Aguilar?
Yes.
Acting Deputy Chief of Staff Helena Wooden-Aguilar is the person Dr. Etzel says came into her office that day.
Why was she not told the reasons why she was put on leave?
Unfortunately, I can't comment on that.
Hey, Mr. Darwin?
Hold on 1 second.
We also asked her boss, Chief of Operations Henry Darwin, the man right under Administrator Andrew Wheeler.
It's really inappropriate for me to talk about any personnel-related issues.
Okay, but why is Dr. Etzel on administrative leave?
Like I just said, it's very inappropriate for me to talk about personnel issues.
But shouldn't she have been told why she was put on administrative leave?
You want me to say it again? I really can't comment on personnel-related issues.
As for Dr. Etzel, after 3 weeks on paid leave, she says it's time to speak out.
This is totally wrong. And the only people that I really report to are mothers and fathers and communities in the United States. And if EPA won't let me tell about how children are being poisoned, I'll just tell the mothers and fathers directly. So I have that right whether or not EPA wants me on their staff.
What if they come up later and say, well, you did these things wrong?
If I did, then I'll say, okay. If I didn't, then I'll say I didn't. But I don't know what the allegation is, so it's very hard to know. But basically, I'm a straight shooter. I'm transparent. So if I make a mistake, I own it.
Well, Dr. Etzel made clear to us she's speaking as a pediatrician, not an EPA official. The EPA referred us to a statement from Chief of Staff Ryan Jackson, who said that Dr. Etzel was placed on leave to give the agency the opportunity to review allegations about the director's leadership of the office. But Dr. Etzel tells us she has never been made aware of any allegations. The EPA insists it's committed to protecting children and maintains that Dr. Etzel's removal won't affect its work.
Well, once we've heard Dr. Etzel's charges, we cannot now unhear them. And as a parent, I would be very concerned about what's going on over there.
Yeah, never doubt that one person can make a change
difference. You're right,
and
Norah.
bring to light what is happening. And she is clearly, in my view, looking out for the health and welfare of children.
And, she says if she's wrong, she will own that too. But
And she's worked in public
clearly
health,
speaking up.
public health for 30 years, including at the World Health Organization as a professor.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you.
I'm sure she'll be hearing from a lot of parents after that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
120 people on that letter.
And her former bosses. They're like,